Guys, we cannot afford to abandon the church. Satan has a form of church in opposition to God's church. That form of church is practiced in churches on Sunday morning to some degree or another in many churches. When I say we cannot abandon the church, I mean in our attempt to reform it, we cannot part ways with what passes as church, even if it is dysfunctional, even if it is in disarray, even if it is in rebellion against God, and in many ways it is. We don't abandon the church. This is why I'm a Christian activist. This is why I'm calling you to be a Christian activist. Not that you should not find true fellowship and true spiritual food and truly good messages from sources other than the Sunday morning service, especially if it's a charade, but that you should still go to church on Sunday morning and be a witness for Christ in the church. This is what it means to be on mission at the Sunday morning institutional church in that scene. It means that you are a loving presence, a spiritual presence. You are praying for the pastor. You are praying for the congregation. If you are a true Christian, really seeking the Spirit, really activated by the Spirit, in a local church, there will be dissonance between you and that form of church because there's dissonance between that form of church and the true church. If we are being the true church, we will naturally be in opposition to many local church bodies, not because we try to be, but by the very act of being the true church, right? We will call out the log in the eye of church, right? Even as we're dealing with the splinter in our own eye. That's just going to happen. But still, do not abandon the church. Do not abandon the local church. Do not abandon the denominational church. Do not abandon the assembly of the institutional church, even if it is in many ways in disarray and in rebellion against God. Even if it is practicing the form of church that is more akin to Satan's, we cannot abandon the church in any way. So if you have to go outside of the institutional Sunday morning church for spiritual growth, for good fellowship, that's fine. That's good. But don't think that you can then abandon that form of church. That's what it means to be a Christian activist. God has not called us to abandon the church to Satan and his form of church. You may be at odds with Satan's form of church in practicing God's form of church. But that's the point, guys. We're to be a thorn in the side of the false church, right? To draw out the messengers of Satan that have found refuge there, that have hidden themselves there, that have planted themselves there, that have embedded themselves there. If true Christians won't stand up in the institutional church and say, this is wrong, then we are surrendering church to Satan and his form of church. It won't be easy. It won't make you popular. It may get you pushed out, ostracized, shunned. Do it anyway. Be there anyway. I don't care what church it is. Every church I go to, it's the assembly of God's people. No matter how fallen, no matter how imperfect, no matter how prostituted to the false form of church they are, it is still God's people. And if you're a true follower of Christ, if you're truly activated by the Holy Spirit, you are called onto the front lines. Guys, the church is a mission field. The church is a battleground. And if that's true, and if you're a warrior for God, then you need to be on the front lines. The front lines of the spiritual battle today starts in the church, in local churches on Sunday morning, on Wednesday night, in youth group, in small groups. That's where we are, guys. We're warriors for God. We're sensitive to the spiritual atmosphere. We're calling out the demonic strongholds in churches. And so we have to be on the front lines to do that. So don't shy away from the broken church, the wounded church, the prostituted church. the failing church. Don't run away from that. God's not run away. God is calling us to that form of church, okay? We cannot afford to abandon the church. If you think God has called you to be the true church, then be the true church. Have the home group, the small group, the true fellowship with true believers, with like-minded believers, but still be a light in the darkness, in the places where the church is most broken, where the church is most dysfunctional, most in rebellion against God, most distracted, most rejecting the Holy Spirit. Go be the church on the front lines in the broken church today. All right. Let's do it, guys. Keep on it, man. Keep growing with God. Keep learning to hear the Spirit, and keep fighting against Satan's form of church, in that form of church especially. All right. See you guys. Bye.